Welcome to the show. I'm Dom Dumas, and I'm in Bangkok. I'm also the official podcaster of the SHL. A Christmas Discussion, episode 44. This is an exciting episode for me on more than one level. First, Christmas is my favorite time of year, and it has been for a very, very long time. And I plan on discussing that a little bit in this episode. Also, another reason why it's so special for me is because Tracy is joining me again for another episode. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you very much.
So, talk to me about, Christmas for you. I'd like to know, what for you is Christmas? I've known you for 11 years, and, well, I've actually known you for 13 years, but, Christmas, since I've known you, seems to have changed a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is why I actually chose the topic of this week's discussion. That is because, Christmas has definitely changed a lot. Obviously it changes for everybody. The Christmas that you grow up with, which is hopefully your wonderful childhood memories, kind of has to evolve somehow. And then, of course, when you go and live abroad, especially if you choose to live in a tropical country, it has to evolve quite hard.
It depends on what part of the world you come from.
Yeah, I think so. But if you like my journey from growing up in England and then moving eventually to live in Thailand is quite an evolution in my attitude towards Christmas. So I have gone through love and hate with this time of the year.
Okay.
And possibly now I'm at a relatively good place, and that's maybe in part thanks to you and your love of Christmas.
Well, thank you.
So that's why I thought it'd be an interesting discussion topic.
Okay. Christmas for me has always been, well, for those of you who don't know, I grew up in Minnesota, and winter in general is very, very white in Minnesota.
It's pretty much Lapland, isn't it? It's like as close. It's American Lapland. You grew up in Santa's North Pole area.
Yeah, pretty much. You go up. I can remember. Like just winters in general. It gets dark early, and you can go to like specific neighborhoods or even towns for decoration, and it's just like Christmas for me has always been real huge for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, but for me, Christmas is, how I feel Christmas has always kind of been, not only is it about giving, but about loving each other. That's really important for me, in my opinion. Loving yourself, loving the people that are in your life and things like that. We have people that we don't always get along with, but this is the time of year that we should be a bit different and be a bit more forgiving and loving.
Definitely.
I know nothing about, I lie. I know very, very little about Christmas in England. What's Christmas like in England?
Okay, I think it's better if I kind of talk about what Christmas was in my childhood.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
For me, because that's the same thing, really. I left England when I was very early 20s. And prior to that, I think Christmas had changed a little bit already. So growing up, I grew up by the coast in Mablethorpe, but we used to go back to my grandma's at Christmas in Nottingham. So that was we went and stayed with my mum's mum. So my memories of Christmas as a child were always in Nottingham. If I think of Christmas and if I think of Santa Claus, he came to 12 Curtis Street, which was where my grandma lived.
Okay.
And that is always where Christmas happened for me. So it was like my magical place. And what Christmas means in that sense, it's kind of the stuff, the food and the family get together. So we used to have a big party at my aunt my great aunt, Auntie Florence's house on Christmas Eve, and then on Christmas Day we had a party at my grandma's house. I think that was the way round it went. It was complicated anyway, and then we also had to visit other relatives and things like that. But that house and the food we ate together and the people that visited, for me, is what kind of solidified what Christmas means. And so although Christmas has changed, if I think, you know, of the essence of Christmas, it's still those kind of things. So I think it's a lot similar to a traditional American Christmas, but maybe, I don't know if you have pumpkin pie and stuff. Maybe I'm confusing it with Thanksgiving. We don't have that. We have Christmas pudding.
Oh, okay, yeah. But we absolutely have pumpkin pie at, like, Christmas, at Thanksgiving. Those are the big times of the year that I remember having pumpkin pies at. Okay. So
list your Christmas food just quickly.
Okay, Christmas food. Jeez. My Christmas dinners were really kind of different, to say the least. I mean, we had turkey. I think there's been a few years where we've had ham. Wait, no. Sorry, I'm mixing up my years of Christmases. I apologize. We had turkey. We had meatballs. My grandmother used to make these meatballs that were phenomenal, and if I'm not mistaken, my Aunt Donna has taken over that. And we had, like, breads, and we had stuffing and potatoes, mashed potatoes, not sweet potatoes. We had salads. We had some of the worst food in the world, which would...
I was going to say lutefisk.
Exactly. Oh, and if any of my relatives, in particular my Aunt Jeannie or my Uncle Alex, hear me talking about this, they're going to say that I'm a bit disowned, but...
You're the black sheep.
I am absolutely the black sheep of the family. Lutefisk, for me, is one of the nastiest dishes I've ever had. And it's just like this fermented fish, and it just, when it's being cooked, it just smells up the whole house. But the nice thing is, it can be masked by the lovely other smells that come along, like the smell of fresh cut Christmas trees, pine trees. The smell of turkey, that my grandmother had fresh baked bread or rolls every year, fresh baked cookies, fresh baked pies, roasted turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing. I mean, all kinds of different types of vegetables, corn, carrots, my mouth is I'm just remembering all of this, and it's like, whoa, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so for me it's similar, but we didn't really have turkey, and I'm not sure why that was. I'm not sure if it's because it is actually an American thing. I now associate turkey with Christmas, but maybe our oven wasn't that big. But we tend to have, I feel like we had beef, but maybe also chicken.
Okay.
But it was really the meal, Christmas meal, was Sunday dinner, that, you know, so it's the Yorkshire pudding, the stuffing. It's the Sunday dinner with everything, where you really go to town.
Okay.
So it was just a regular big dinner. But then it was all the trimmings. So yeah, we'd have mince pies and lots of raisins, you know, Christmas pudding and mince pies, jam tarts, lemon curds. My grandma also used to make these lovely cheese and tomato tarts that were just a pastry case with cheese and tomato in it. Really simple, but it means Christmas for me. And also maybe things like just having a bowl of nuts. Okay, that sounds really weird, but we always had a bowl of nuts and nutcrackers, you know, so even though you're stuffed, you're kind of crunching walnuts, breaking open walnuts and Brazil nuts and everything. Those kind of simple things that make, that's why that time of the year we never had a bowl of nuts around at any other time.
I agree, absolutely. I mean, it's because I can remember, because I used to go to my grandparents' house, which I grew up in. I'm originally from Rosa, Minnesota, but I grew up in the Twin Cities area, which is Minneapolis, St. Paul, and all the surrounding cities. But for Christmas, we used to go 6 hours north to my grandparents' house.
same as me. So it was Grandma's house.
Yeah.
That is Christmas.
Absolutely. So we'd spend Christmas Eve was our big day. This is what I found out as I was growing up was a bit weird.
Yeah, you opened your presents on the wrong day.
We had Christmas dinner. We had presents on Christmas Eve. So for me, growing up, Christmas Eve was like the big day. Christmas Day, yeah, we got gifts from Santa Claus. You know what I mean? But getting the gifts from our family, our Christmas dinner was always on Christmas Eve. And for me, that's like, I remember that was why Christmas Eve was so special. I always thought that Christmas Eve was more special than Christmas Day because of that. But yeah, you mentioned a bowl of nuts, and it's funny. Going up to my grandparents' house, yeah, we had nuts around. Like if we'd go up there in the summer, or if we'd go up there at Easter time, or if we'd go up there at Thanksgiving or whatever. But we always had them at Christmas, and everybody, well, at least the boys, we would have the nuts downstairs at my grandfather's desk. He had this great big beautiful desk, and it was amazing. And we'd be sitting, all the men would be sitting downstairs chilling out, having that. The kids were obviously all over the house, upstairs in the ground floor or in the basement. They were everywhere. And me being a kid was a part of that too. But I remember the Christmas nuts, the Brazil nuts, the walnuts, the pecans, the almonds, all of them, the hazelnuts and stuff like that. Yeah.
And you had to crack them,
Oh,
you
absolutely.
don't buy shelled nuts
No.
like today. You just buy a bag of mixed nuts, and
Yeah.
it's just a different thing, isn't it? It's
absolutely
kind of crunching
hugely
them up,
different. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It is a huge difference, and you had the nutcracker, and you'd be cracking.
We actually also got nuts in our stocking. That's one of the there were certain things you always got in your stocking, and we didn't have like a fancy Christmas stocking that I see on American films. We had a sock. We used my dad's sock.
Okay.
And it was like nuts were in the tote. That was the first thing that Mum had obviously put in. And then oranges.
Okay.
So they kind of kept the nuts. And then small toys and things like that. So you know how I love chocolate liqueur? Because I always got a little bottle of chocolate liqueur.
Okay.
Even as a kid, like a sherry liqueur chocolate in my stocking.
Okay.
So it was like set things that were in a small diary and things like that. So yeah, we also had the bowls, but it was part of our stocking as well.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned stockings, because I remember seeing TV shows or Christmas movies, or Christmas shows. And not every single one that I watched, but a lot of them had Christmas stockings. I can remember one year at Christmas time having a Christmas stocking as a kid, and it was just a sock.
Yeah.
It was just a sock. It wasn't these
regular. It's not fancy.
It wasn't
it's
fancy like you
sock
saw.
That was used.
Yeah.
Every other day of the
had
year.
to make sure it was clean.
Clean, yeah.
But we only had that one time.
Okay. We had that every Christmas.
But I mean, I don't know why we only had it one time. I don't know why we didn't have it. When I became an adult and it was in my first marriage, we had a stocking. And we had like special things and there were things that you got every year also that were in there, but we also had little special things. But when I was growing up, and we had nothing like that, just the one time we had stockings. But the only thing I can guess, or the only reason I can guess for that, is my family is quite big. Do you know what I mean? So on Christmas Eve, everybody, a family would buy a gift for a person. But then we also had Thanksgiving time. We had a drawing. Okay? And so each person would pull a name out of a hat, and then you got to buy a special gift for that one person. So
like a Secret Santa.
Yeah, it was like a Secret Santa, but absolutely. Well, yeah, it was a Secret Santa. Now that I think about it, I didn't know what Secret Santa was at the time, but it was like, so you would draw names, and then everybody would get something special, and usually families would get something like for the kids, and sometimes they would get something big for a family and things like that. But it's just like, and then at Christmas morning, when we would get up in the morning, and there would be all our gifts from Santa Claus, which was usually a few different things or something really big. But I think that's one of the reasons why we didn't have Christmas socks, whatever. We didn't have anything like that. Yeah. So it was like seeing that I didn't have that till it was later in life. So yeah, but it was just like, I don't know. It was like really weird seeing things like that in movies and TV shows. Like, what's that? And then everybody, like, all my friends were like, "You celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve? What are you, like, weird?" I'm like, "No. What do you mean you celebrate? When do you celebrate Christmas? Christmas? What do you mean Christmas Day? No, that's different." But yeah. So for me, also, around the time of year, I start getting excited around Thanksgiving. In the States, in the past, things have changed recently, but I can remember in the past, around Thanksgiving time is when the Christmas stuff started coming out. You would start hearing Christmas music. That's when Christmas movies would start coming out on TV, or the new ones would start being released to the cinema, and and you like all the like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the old '60s TV short and stuff like that. So I remember that was like always a very special time for me. Christmas is like my favorite time of year. For as far back as I can remember, I've always loved Christmas. It didn't matter where I was, what was going on. Yes, there has been times where Christmas was really, really hard for me. But it's still, even when it's hard, it's still one of my favorite times of the year. So, like, I love Christmas movies. This is something you learned about me. Why are you rolling your eyes?
Because if we watched all of your favourite Christmas movies, we'd have to start in September.
Or July.
Or just not do anything but watch Christmas movies.
I absolutely do love Christmas movies. And I have my favorites.
Yes.
Some of them are like really, really old, and some of them are kind of newish, depending on who you talk to. But so, how do you get excited? What makes you excited, or what has made you excited for Christmas?
Yeah, I think now I try and I remember one year quite recently I got excited a bit too early, and you've got to pace yourself, because if you get too excited about Christmas too early, you run out of steam before Christmas actually gets there. So yeah, that was a mistake of getting excited in November, which I think I was trying to adopt the American Thanksgiving way.
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, it was like early November.
It was a little, maybe, yeah.
Early to mid-November.
Yeah. So really what works for me is to kind of block it out a little bit until December, or at least kind of try and resist acting on being excited. So I wouldn't feel comfortable watching Christmas films before December. But yeah, it's certain shows, music, Christmas carols and Christmas films that get me in the mood, as it were, for Christmas.
Okay. Do you have any favorites?
Films. I feel like I have to be careful not to overwatch some films. There's some films that I can watch, but like I was just thinking about that. Is it Love Actually, the English one?
Yes.
I feel like I've got to think about whether I should watch that, because I'm getting a bit like, that scene, it's like a bit too predictable. Like I know it too well, so I might give that one a miss. I love that one, but I might not watch it this year. That's not the ones that I can watch every year. Is the Santa Claus, the first one? Yes, the Santa Claus.
That's amazing. I love that movie.
Yeah, because that for me is like he embodies Santa Claus there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, he does,
and I love how he's the reluctant Santa Claus.
Yeah.
It's the story of somebody becoming Santa Claus and fighting it a little bit and then embracing it. Yeah.
Well,
so,
I think he really does embody it through all three movies. Is. Tim Allen. Thank
you. Okay, I just couldn't remember his name. I could see his face. I just couldn't remember the actor's name.
And I felt I loved what he did with that character. And he did, yes, the second and the third one weren't as good as the first one, but still, I still love them.
Yeah, I love it. And the first one, I feel like I can watch that every year, at the moment anyway.
At the moment, okay.
I think because my dad loved Dickens a lot, I always like to watch one of the Christmas carols, and I think my favourite one at the moment is the animated, is it Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey, yes.
The
that
Christmas
is a great
Carol.
one. Yeah.
Because I love which is the one that you always remember his line, which is, which is the ghost of Christmas, and you always say the line. It freaks me out a bit. I can't remember it now. It's like I've got a brain meltdown.
The ghost of Christmas present.
Yeah.
Come in and know me better, man.
Yeah, that's it. And I love that Christmas present in that film, that ghost.
Absolutely.
I think he's really well realised. Like that moment where he's just massive and he feels this, and there's some scenes in that film that are really spectacular. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then there's some like the Grinch thing where I'm going, oh no, I don't want to watch this. It's stupid. I don't like those. The Who's, the horrible little
stupid.
Yeah, okay, let me finish.
Okay.
And I got all this resistance to it, and then when it comes on, I'm like, really enjoying it.
Which one?
The Jim Carrey, the one with the thing with all the noses are like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I love that. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely one of my favorites, and it's one of those ones with the Santa Claus that I try to watch every year.
Yeah. But for me, if I am like, what are traditional Christmas movies? So it's one of those things where I've kind of stepped over to your side a little bit.
Okay.
But for me, what is a traditional Christmas movie are the things that are on in the UK at Christmas. So it would be Wizard of Oz and Oliver.
Oliver.
Yeah, exactly. So that
is Oliver, but in the Christmas.
It's not a Christmas movie. It's on at Christmas. That's the difference. We have things that are films that are shown at Christmas traditionally. So as I was growing up as a kid, this is in the 70s. Wizard of Oz was on every year at Christmas.
Okay.
And I always wanted to watch it. And same with Oliver, the musical Oliver.
Okay.
And I loved them both. So they're both, for me, both feel really Christmassy. Okay. Even though there's not a tree in them. They're not about Christmas. It's just happened to be shown.
Well, for us, if I'm not mistaken, at least when I was growing up, usually the Wizard of Oz was on during like tornado season. Go figure.
Isn't it always tornado season?
No.
I just assumed it was one long tornado, just up and down.
No.
When's tornado season?
Usually it's like spring, early summer.
Okay.
Yeah, you get summer. You get it throughout the summer also, but I think late spring they start to appear and stuff like that. But that's a whole nother topic. Yeah. But yeah, so for me, like, traditional Christmas movies would be any of the Christmas carols, which I absolutely I love all of them, and it's hard to find all of them. I did have a good portion of them, but I think I've lost some of them.
Some of them are a bit dire.
Well, yeah, but the story is a bit dire throughout the story until the end.
Yeah.
So, the Grinch, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the old old 60s television short. It's not even like, it's like 20 minutes. I love those.
That's the good thing about it. It's short.
And the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, the Peanuts Christmas special.
Yeah, the Peanuts is okay.
So,
but for me, they're not as, they're a bit like sentimental. I think you have it's like you've got to find a balance between like coaxing out a bit of natural sentiment and trying to engineer it, and some of them are a bit too like, I'm trying to make you feel sentimental because it's Christmas, and I don't work well. I tell you one Christmas film that I really enjoyed, that While You Were Sleeping.
Yes,
because that's like another one. It's a subtle kind of Christmassy feeling. It sneaks up on you, same as what's the Bruce Willis one where that's
Die Hard.
Yeah, Die Hard. It's a good Christmas film. It is, but it's not kind of. It's not heavy-handed with the Christmas spirit. No,
not really. But yeah, Die Hard. I mean, I started watching Die Hards in when I was in the Navy. That's when they started coming out. But I love, like, there's so many. It's like Miracle on 34th Street, the original one. The second one is the newer one is good also. A Wonderful Life. I love that film, and I didn't come to it until later in life. Do you know what I mean? But it was always on at Christmas time. And I loved it. And hearing Christmas songs everywhere also. Yeah, for me, once I started having my own vehicle and driving, as soon as Thanksgiving had passed, I would find the one radio station that would play Christmas songs all day long, all night long, all the time. Just, I love them so much. So, and of course, obviously, there's so many like that are just incredible.
Yeah.
You know. So.
What kind of Christmas songs do you like? Because I've got quite I like carols. I like
Carols
traditional Christian-y. I'm not like a strong Christian at any of the, but Christmas time I like carols and those kind of more traditional songs more than modern day.
I like those also. I'm not going to say I don't like those. I like the carols, you know, like Silver Bells and of course, now I'm drawing a blank. Obviously, Silent Night. Oh, I absolutely love Silent Night. It's one of my favorites. But I also like some of the new ones. Also, you know, and there's a few. Like there's one that's done to a poem that was done to. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas with music, and every time I hear it, it brings tears to my eyes. The Soldier at Christmastime. I love it. And then there's this one that I know you just absolutely hate, but so I always listen to it when you're not around.
Thank you.
And I absolutely love it. And it's called The Christmas Shoes. And if any of you get a chance to listen to it, absolutely do it. Be warned, it is a tearjerker, and they have made a movie about it. Not about it, with it, called The Christmas Shoes. But it, for me, I can remember the first time I ever heard that song. I was driving home in my car, and this song came on the radio, and I'm listening to the song while I'm driving, and it absolutely, I had to stop, pull over to the side of the road and stop, and I just started bawling in the car because it reminded me of my mom. Do you know what I mean? And she was a huge part of my life, and I every year I miss her at Christmas time, but you know, it was just, I'm getting all teary thinking about it. It's one of those songs that I feel, for me, I love listening to. I remember the first time you heard it, you were like, this is terrible.
I mean, I think the first time I listened to it through was the year my dad had died.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I just walked out. I couldn't. It's too much. Yeah. I love things like the Carol of the Bells, and you know, certain things that you could imagine singing. I was in a choir at school, and we sang.
I can't sing, so.
No, I can't. But I was still in the choir. I used to move my mouth. It was nice to be in the choir.
Yes,
you know?
yes. I was in the
all
band.
the kind of things that we sang. Those songs, I still love them. So I like, it's my Christmas music. Again, it's maybe similar taste to my films. I don't want to feel like I'm forced to get sentimental. I like to just have a kind of sense of some tradition and carol. I kind of like Good King Wenceslas. I remember learning all the verses, and you know, I'm kind of proud that I can remember all of that.
I remember learning how to play that on the clarinet, because I mean, we always had, I got into band in 5th grade, I believe it was, and we had like Christmas specials, you know, where we played all Christmas music, and Christmas concerts, you know, played all that for the parents and stuff like that. So a lot of it, there was no modern stuff. It was all like traditional Christmas songs. I loved playing those songs. I couldn't play them now, especially on the clarinet, but I probably should learn them on my guitar. It's one of them, but
learn one of them.
Yeah, so, but yeah, it's just, Christmas songs and TV shows, so I want you to share with me a special Christmas memory.
Ooh, that's just not on the list. So.
No, it's not on the list.
I've got.
Yes, I'll have to admit I haven't been following it, but we had a list of topics, but I decided to
a special
go.
Christmas memory.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about my grandma's house.
Okay.
And it's not a Christmas memory in a sense. It's like my mum's Christmas memory, but it's kind of related to one of the questions that we had discussed.
Okay, that's all right.
And it was my grandma's house in Nottingham, which is in Hucknall, where I used to go for Christmas. It was a terraced house, and although it had been modernised when I visited there, when my mum was a kid, or I think they moved there when my mum was like a teenager, and maybe a bit older than a teenager, I'm not sure. But there was toilets in the backyard.
Okay.
You know, the toilet wasn't inside, it was an outside toilet. So they were a terraced house, a row of houses, and then a row of toilets and that. So you had to go out into the cold if you needed to go to the loo. My mum always told me that she saw Santa in his sleigh in the sky.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
She
jealous.
was going to the toilet.
I'm so jealous.
She's got lots of stories about going to the toilet.
Oh, I'm not jealous about that.
You could get her to tell them sometimes. But she says that she saw Santa, you know, in going to the loo one night. I mean, it's a story because they also, if they needed to go to loo in the middle of the night, they had a chamber pot for that reason. Like, they had a ceramic thing under the bed, you know, back in the old days. So they weren't going out in the middle of winter.
I wouldn't say old days, but we had them like at my grandparents' farm. We had a chamber pot.
Where your bathroom isn't there.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
we don't have them now because our bathroom's there. Yeah. So it was to save you going out into the cold, I guess.
Okay.
So obviously it's a story, but I remember one of my memories is of Christmas in that house and looking in the sky, you know, looking for Santa, because that was where I believed I was likely to see him, because it was like in my genes. That's where, and I didn't.
You did? Oh,
never
I got to see him every year.
Okay, like in a department store.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so that's just a bloke in a Santa suit.
Not all the
Not
time.
the real Santa.
No, sometimes
The
it
real
is.
Santa's only in the sky.
No.
You don't see the real Santa.
I have. I've met him a few times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes he does work at the mall.
He like fills in.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he chooses a special mall around the
In
world.
Minnesota.
No, around the world. That's why he's not. That's why he's not at the mall every year, or at all the malls every year. Do you know what I mean? He chooses one, and he'll spend like a few days there, and then he'll go to another one. And he'll spend a few days, and he does this all around the world.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, but I've met him. I've seen him a few times. Yeah. He's awesome.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go there.
So you're a non-believer.
Yeah. I believe in Santa at Christmas time.
Okay.
'Cause it's fun too. Like, you know, but it's
We have our own special.
yeah,
Christmas
we've got a
elf.
little elf, but he's asleep right now, so
Okay.
he just looked up with a big sigh. I think his little elf suit is constricting him a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean it's nice to believe in, but I remember kind of when we stopped having Christmas at Grandma's, I remember like deciding not to believe in Santa anymore.
Okay.
So it's something that I evolved out of, and then because you like insist on believing in Santa still, I'm happy to go along with it. And
At Christmas time.
At Christmas time. But yeah.
Okay. I'm still a believer. You know, there were times in my life, years in my life, where I didn't get gifts from Santa, but that's probably because I was not such a good boy. But I believe there's a Santa. Absolutely, I've met him a few times. So I want to share like a good Christmas memory. I have lots and lots and lots of Christmas memories, and some of them are good and some of them are bad. I won't say bad, but hard. Painful, yeah. Just this is like something that I don't know if they still do it at my grandparents' house, or it's not my grandparents' house anymore, but at the family Christmas. I don't know if they still do this, but this is something they used to do. I can remember, like, everybody would be like all over the house, you know, like I said, the adults or the men would be downstairs or in the living room. The kids would be everywhere looking at Christmas gifts under the tree. The gifts at my grandparents' house. It was just simply amazing. We had a big Christmas tree that my grandfather cut every year, and the Christmas gifts they would be all the way to the trunk of the tree, but they would spread out all the way across the living room. completely, and it was amazing how many gifts there were. I mean, like I said, we had a big family, or I have a big family. But seeing this, the Christmas tree, I can remember arriving at my grandparents' house a few days before Christmas, and yet I've got my eyes, I had my eyes closed because I'm picturing it in my head. It's just amazing. You know, and seeing the tree and seeing not all of the gifts yet, but being at my grandparents' house, and then the tree, the people, everybody arriving slowly, trickling in, and more gifts showing up and appearing underneath this tree, and it's amazing, and how phenomenal it is, and spending the time with my uncles and my aunts, and then, you know, everybody would be there on Christmas Eve, and then we'd have this amazingly massive dinner, and everybody always overate, of course, you know, and then once we'd finish eating, everybody would kind of disperse, and at the time, the women would go and wash the dishes, and nobody was allowed to open any gifts, you know, and of course us kids were sitting there shaking, what's this? I wonder what this one is. But the women would do the washing up, and usually the men would go downstairs, or some of them would keep an eye on the kids, you know, things like that. And the best thing about it was, before we could open the gifts, is all my aunts would get together and they would sing Christmas carols badly. And I think some of it was on purpose, but it's such a lovely memory, just hearing them singing together, being happy, and just such a great time. Oh, I loved it. You know, and then once all of the dishes were done, they would call everybody up into the living room, or into the living room and dining room area, and then we would choose one of the kids, and they would start handing out all the gifts. And I can remember years where the gifts, unwrapping all the gifts. Oh, you had to choose a spot too. You know, us kids, we always had to choose a special spot. So if I was lucky, we got to sit on the stairs, because the stairs was cool, because it was right around the corner in kind of a cubby hole, you know, and I usually spent it there. Danelle would be there, my sister, and my Uncle Alex and my Uncle Craig, the four of us were usually there. It was great. But not always. Sometimes we didn't get to sit there, but most of the time we did. And then as the gifts were being unwrapped, and it, you know, exciting not only seeing the gifts that we got from everybody else, but seeing how people's reaction to the gifts that we got them. Oh, I love that. And then seeing all this Christmas wrapping paper build up more and more. And it was like, I remember as a kid, there were times where it was knee deep, just Christmas wrapping paper, and it was amazing. Especially this one year, my uncles and I, we all got these big giant Jeep trucks, and they, you know, we were driving through all of this Christmas wrapping paper with these trucks. It was awesome. But yeah, and you know, and then once all the gifts are opened, everybody kind of hangs out and has some more pie, and then it's time for all the kids to go to bed. And once all the kids have actually fallen asleep, Santa comes to visit. So, and then you wake up and bring some more presents, and we wake up in the morning, and there's like either one big present or a few small presents for everybody, and I loved it. Yeah, oh, it was awesome. And I'll never forget, like, the first Christmas after my mother's car accident was always really tough. But and I still miss her at Christmas time, and I'm tearing up now. But
okay, can I like guide the topic, because you're kind of talking about one of the sad things. And one of the things that I think is quite hard, or I found really hard until you and I got together, is kind of being away from family at Christmas. And the first time I had Christmas, I went abroad when I was 22, and I went to live in Singapore. So not everybody knows that I've lived in Thailand for years, but my first experience of living abroad and living in a tropical country was in Singapore. And let me think, I went out when I was 22 years old, and so it'd be the kind of Christmas, my birthday's in February, so I'd still be 22 and going on 23 in February. That Christmas was the first that I spent abroad, and I remember sitting in a cafe overlooking Orchard Road, which is Singapore has a big shopping street, and they went crazy for Christmas. It was something that I wasn't expecting. I thought Christmas was a British thing, you know, or a British and American thing. I didn't know, you know, Singapore isn't a Christian country. It's a multi religious, multiracial country, but none of the Christianity doesn't really feature. So it has a big Chinese population, it has a Malay and Muslim population. So I wasn't really expecting them to do Christmas. But of course, Christmas is a very commercial event, not thinking about the baby Jesus kind of aspect of Christmas, but thinking about Santa Claus. It's a way to sell stuff big time in the shop. So Orchard Road used to have a competition at Christmas, who could have the best, most amazing Christmas display. And the shops on Orchard Road did like nothing in the UK could compete. Because they were all about the kind of spectacular side of it. And I remember they'd have fantastic displays. Like one had white horses. It was the main theme was white horses, and it had massive big statues of white horses and silver and snow and things like that. So they were using kind of Christmas themes like snow and that, but creating their own version of it, which is perfect.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying they shouldn't do Christmas, they shouldn't have it. And it's very much like here they had, I think the other year they had a big display of Snoopies in Bangkok, at Christmas, which is kind of related but not exactly.
That was when the new Peanuts movie came out.
Yeah, I think so. So that I was in a cafe overlooking Orchard Road, sobbing, because I was looking at these incredible, beautiful displays of Christmas. I was listening to Christmas music, but it was hot, and there were palm trees everywhere, and it's just my brain had a bit of a meltdown. It was like, it does not compute. I see it's. I hear Christmas music, I can see Christmas decorations, I can see the word Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and all the things that I would see in the UK. But it was happening in Singapore, and it was wrong because my family wasn't there, and I didn't have another kind of family setup. I got no surrogate, I got nothing to kind of replace it with that. So it just felt empty, and I had a big meltdown. And how I dealt with Christmas very often was to just be in denial. I didn't do Christmas, and it was hard because I'd have to buy gifts and send Christmas cards, or my dad would complain to me for years, oh, you didn't send Christmas cards, or you didn't do and it was because I was continually at war with it a little bit.
I can understand that.
And I think it was you coming out and kind of creating a family feeling, even though we didn't have a ton of family. There's me and you and the animals, but you made it, it's the first time, we had that big kind of argument that resulted in the tree that we now I love, but it was like, I felt excessive. It's a huge tree, it's an artificial tree,
it's a beautiful tree,
but it was part of that. It was the end of that war. It was the final surrender. Okay, let's do Christmas.
Prior to that, we did get a small one.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'd had a small one with Noi. In my first marriage, we had a tree, we decorated, but it was like a kind of a head nod towards Christmas. I didn't embrace it. I acknowledged it in a very controlled way. Yeah. But I didn't have any special food, or I didn't look for Christmas movies. I didn't, so I didn't really embrace it. So it's since I've been with you that I've learnt to kind of actually be a bit more positive and actually do something that feels Christmassy, like go to Bourbon Street and have Christmas dinner and watch Christmas films and have a big tree rather than a
little tiny thing.
Yeah.
I kind of had a similar experience. For me, the biggest shock was for Christmas away from family was when I was in the Navy. I joined in the summer, and I went through boot camp, and then I went home for a little bit to visit my dad and my sisters, and I didn't get a chance to go because I wasn't home long enough. I didn't get a chance to go visit my grandparents and my aunts and uncles and stuff. And then I went to Connecticut, and every year I would apply for leave at Christmas time, but I always was denied because I was always a little bit late turning in my leave, and everybody else, they need people. Naughty. Not right away. Okay. Not right away. But yeah, so, and I'll never forget that. I'm sitting in the barracks, and it's Christmas Eve, and yeah, there's a little bit of Christmas stuff on base, but very, very little. If I go off base, I see stuff, but it's like me. My roommate's gone, and I'm alone in my freaking room.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. You know, I could call my family, and I did call my family, but it's not the same talking to them on the phone. And I really didn't have
And
at that point.
sometimes it's almost worse because it's the reminder of what you're missing because they're doing Christmas Day.
Yeah, I'd call and they would pass the phone around so I could
Yeah.
talk to everybody, and that was always nice. But it was very, very hard to be away from them at Christmas, you know. And then I got really, really lucky after 3 years of missing Christmases. I was coming back I was stationed in San Diego. I was going back to, I was supposed to go to Virginia, but I knew that my boat that I was supposed to be going to I knew it was in Virginia. They were sending me to Portsmouth, Maine, because they thought it was in dry dock. And I'm like, no, because I just saw it before I left. But I happened to finish my mess management special, which is mess management specialist school is just a fancy name for becoming a cook. I just happened to finish around Christmas time, so I got to be home for Christmas. Oh, and I can remember my aunts and my grandmother.
I was going to say, is that when they met you?
They met me at the airport, and then we went and had dinner or we got, not dinner, but it was a bit late, but we had something to eat at the local Denny's or Perkins, I forget what it was anyway. But we were all packed in this car with all my aunties and my grandma, and it was amazing. And it was winter, and there was snow, and it was like, just felt the love, and it was just amazing. Yeah. It was awesome. But yeah, it was great. So.
And what about Christmas in Thailand? How do you feel about that?
The first year was an interesting experience, and I will always hold it very, very special to my heart. Absolutely, because first off, it was the first Christmas I got to spend with you, and secondly, it was at that time I got to meet your parents for the first time. And it was just it was a great experience. You know, I can remember meeting your parents at the airport, and your dad just gave you a great big hug, and he turned around, and here I am standing there. And your dad wasn't much taller than you are, you know, and I'm not saying I'm a big guy, you know, I'm only 6 foot, but he turned around, and I'm like, stuck my hand out and said, "Hi, I'm Dom," and he was like, hello, and then you and I had already discussed how everything was gonna probably work out, and then we ended up going to Chiang Rai, to this amazing resort, and it was chilly. I was really shocked about that. No, there wasn't any snow. It wasn't that cold, but
cold for Thailand.
Cold for Thailand, absolutely.
My dad complained a lot about that.
Yeah, I remember, because he had to wear his jumper.
Yeah.
Or sweater. That British English for sweater is jumper.
He hadn't really brought enough clothes because we hadn't said it was going to be super cold. I remember him wearing his bathrobe in bed because he was so cold.
I remember. Yeah, that was great. You know, and we had such a great time. They had a special Christmas dinner, and then they have these lanterns that you light off that go up in the air, and that was the first time I'd ever done that. That was actually kind of scary because these pellets of flaming hot liquid were going
liquid alcohol kind of.
Yeah, it's like molten dropping onto the pavement. It was like what is that? Yeah. That's a very, very special memory for me.
It was tough. I mean, it was like I just separated from my ex-husband, who my parents, were very fond of. So they were kind of getting to know you, and it was a bit of a hard transition time. And probably I hadn't given them enough warning. But we did what we did for reasons that we did it there and then. So it was hard, but yeah, I guess so. I mean, do you feel that it's hard having like Christmas in a tropical country?
Well, let's see. The first Christmas we had was with your parents, and it was cool. But it was absolutely, I can't say it was weird because it's not the first Christmas I had without snow.
Okay.
And that first time we were at a resort, so resorts are kind of weird anyway in general. And then I think the next Christmas were we in Chiang Mai?
No.
We hadn't moved to Chiang Mai yet?
Yeah, we had a couple of years before. And then when we used to do our Christmas road trip, which was nice, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. But it is kind of a bit weird. I'm not sure. I try to explain to like my students and stuff like that, adults and kids, why Christmas is special to me. You know, for me, it's more about giving that special gift to somebody that you special friend or your loved ones or whatever. And it's a little bit different here. It is very, very, I'm not going to say it's not commercialized. It is very, very commercialized here in Thailand, and it's also very commercialized. It's become very commercialized in the States.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it is a little bit different.
I tell you, one thing that I find helps is going to Bourbon Street.
Oh, yes.
And that is just like, it's our local, but it happens to be an American-style restaurant.
Louisiana.
Yeah, and I think they just kind of do a really nice package, as in it's not too much.
Yes.
But it's all the food, and you get to experience that kind of family feeling, although it's not. It depends very much where you're sitting and things, but the staff are familiar.
Yes.
And
they wear kind of a Christmassy, Hawaiian-y shirts.
Yeah.
But
it's like
cool.
the Songkran. It's Christmas kind of.
It's kind of, but they are lovely. They're very lovely people. It's a restaurant that's owned by a guy from Louisiana.
Yeah.
So, and they have this amazing buffet.
Yeah. If you live in Bangkok, anybody of our listeners who live in Bangkok, I recommend it for Christmas, because it's like one of the more affordable. Some of the Christmas dinners, they have a lot in Thailand.
Yes.
But they're very expensive because they're usually in hotels. So you're usually looking at around between, I'd say, 3,000 and 5,000 baht per head.
Per head, yeah.
Whereas this is like, it works out with, if you buy drinks as well, it works out about 2,000.
Yeah, it comes
3,000.
with tea and
you
soda,
get a soft drink. If you want to buy alcohol, you have to pay extra.
Yeah.
But it's something like about 1,000 baht plus per head. So it's really
explain
cheap.
plus to my our listeners from the States.
plus tax plus service.
Yes.
So it's something like 17% in total. So they'll put on 10% service charge and 7% tax, VAT.
Okay. Yeah, and it's a lovely dinner. I tell everybody about it every year. It's amazing. So, but what are you doing? You're showing the elf.
Yes, the elf on the shelf.
He's been dressed up special for this show.
It's like I'm not comfy.
It is. I'm not a fan of animals wearing clothes in general.
No, but this is
Julie and the kids and Ian sent this lovely elf costume for Spike, and we let him wear it for a day. Not even a full day, just long enough. It's my baby boy. But yeah, Christmas is absolutely one of my favorite times of the year. You know, and one of my favorite. I think it is absolutely my favorite time of the year, and I'm still a believer. I used to have a ball cap that said "I still believe in Santa." Kind of blows people's minds. So, but anything else you want to discuss about Christmas?
I think I've covered all the major areas there.
Okay. So, I'd like you to always remember that, especially at this time of the year, but not only at this time of the year, try to remember this all year long, but I want you to always remember to show people love, that you care about them, you know, and also be a little bit forgiving at times when you need to be. So, all right, thank you very much. See you next time. It's time for SHL News. So we've just finished up week 4 of the SHL. In our first game this week, we had Hooters Nana facing off against the Sukhumvit Spitfires. Hooters Nana came into this game after a much-needed win against the Sports Corner Titanium. They were looking to add another win to their record and to avenge their loss against the Sukhumvit Spitfires in the first game of the season. The top goal scorers for Hooters Nana are Paul Stoddart with 4 goals, Stephen Sproul with 3 goals, Justin St. Denis with 3 goals, and Moo with 3 goals. Their points leaders are Stephen Sproul with 6 points and Paul Stoddart with 5. Their goaltenders have been Neng, who stopped 52 out of 60 shots, and Dream, who stopped 40 out of 52 shots. The Sukhumvit Spitfires came into this matchup needing to have a good showing after a hard loss of 0-7 against U.S.A last week. They also wanted a chance to keep their wins going against Hooters Nana. The top goal scorer for Sukhumvit Spitfires, Adrian Myers, number 11, has 3 goals on the season so far. The points leader for the Spitfires is Jeff McIntyre, number 93, with 4 points, and Adrian Myers with 3. The goaltender for the Sukhumvit Spitfires is Jason Kotzmeyer. He's stopped 56 out of 91 shots. In the first period, both teams looked really strong. Scoring with 6:30 left in the first period for Sukhumvit Spitfires was Harrison Otstemel, number 13, which was assisted by Brad Wilson, number 49. With 4:35 left in the first period, Hooters Nana answered back with a goal from Steven Sproul that was assisted by Paul Stoddart. In the second period, Hooters Nana came out strong. Scoring their first goal at 15:20 was an unassisted goal by David Bloomquist, number 82. The second goal of the period came at 11:05, which went to Andy Brine, number 44. And the final goal of the period, with 1:40 left in the period, went to Moo, which was assisted by La and Andy. In the third period, the Sukhumvit Spitfires made a valiant effort trying to come back from behind. Scoring at 9:20 was Marcel Bowens, which was assisted by Nicky Pick and Ob. The Sukhumvit Spitfires just ran out of time, with Adrian scoring the final goal with 6 seconds left in the game, which was assisted by Brad. The Sukhumvit Spitfires had a great showing in this game and have started living up to their potential. The Rolling Stone player of the game was Brad Wilson, and I had a chance to catch up with him after the game. I got Brad from the Spitfires, the Rolling Stone player of the game. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
So, big difference from last week's game. What's going on?
We knew we couldn't play like last week. We, I think, got shut out 6-0, 7-0, and we all played really flat. So this week we wanted to come out, take it to them. And I think we controlled the game, and we couldn't get as many bounces as we'd like, but it was close, and we brought it back within one by the end.
Yeah, it was really a close game. I mean, I thought you guys might be able to pull it out. It was really tight, but I mean, great job. So we've got a break coming in. Do you have any plans for after the break?
I think for the break, we just need to study the tape and hit the weights. That's kind of it.
Make your team a bit bigger.
Yeah, yeah, make it a bit bigger, bit faster, bit smarter.
Excellent. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. In our second game, we had the U.S.A versus Sports Corner Titanium. U.S.A came into this game on a hot streak, winning their last 2 games with 7 goals in each game, and in their last game, they shut out the Sukhumvit Spitfires. The top goal scorers for the U.S.A are Brendan Vick and Devin Michael, both with 2 goals apiece. Their top points players are Devin with 4 points and Thor with 3. And the U.S.A's goaltenders have been Yves Gibralt, who stopped 38 out of 42 shots, and Lance Parker with his shutout, who stopped 15 last week. The Sports Corner Titanium went into this game looking to make up for their loss last week and to continue their winning streak against the U.S.A. The top goal scorers for the Sports Corner Titanium are John Sheknovsky, who's had 3 goals, and Yoni, who's also had 3 goals. Their top points players have been John with 6 points and Yoni with 5. The goaltender has been Gabor Toth, who stopped 47 out of 57 shots. In the game, both teams looked really good at the start of this one. The first goal was scored at 13:30 by U.S.A's Rob Taylor, which was assisted by Thor. Sports Corner Titanium answered back with 3:30 left in the first period with a goal by John, which was assisted by Zach Garofolo and Pratch. The second period was hard fought, and Sports Corner Titanium scored the first goal of the period with 4 minutes left. That goal also came by John, and that was assisted by DJ Sherman. U.S.A answered back with an unassisted goal by Brandon with 3 minutes left in the period. In the third period, Zach scored a power play goal at 10:20, which was assisted by John. The final goal of the game came with 5:35 left, scored by John, giving him a hat trick, which was also assisted by Zach and Yoni. Looks like we have a good playmaking team there with those two. Sports Corner Titanium ended U.S.A's winning streak and going up against the U.S.A 2-0. The Rolling Stone player of the game went to John, who had a hat trick and an assist in this game. I'm here with the Rolling Stone player of the game, John Sheknovsky from Sports Corner Titanium. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
A hat trick tonight.
Yeah. It's from the other team saying hello. Yeah, it's a good game. It was our last game before the break here, and these guys won their game 7-0 last week, so we were pretty stoked to play the game. We were a little worried about them, so it's good to get the win.
So you've beat them twice now so far this season.
We have beaten. I think they only have 2 losses this year, both to us. So I don't know. Maybe we have their number. I doubt it, but we played 2 good games against them, or 2 probably our best games of the year against them. So. Yeah.
Okay, well, it looks like you've definitely got the number. Well, congratulations.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Now we're going into our holiday break. Our goal leaders are John from the Sports Corner Titanium, leading with 6 goals. Adrian from the Sukhumvit Spitfires and Paul of Hooters Nana are tied with 4 goals. Our points leader, John from Sports Corner Titanium, leading the league with 10 points. Steven Sproul of Hooters Nana is in second with 6 points. And tied for third is Yoni from Sports Corner Titanium and Paul Stoddart, both with 5 points. Our penalty and minutes leader is Zach Garofolo from Sports Corner Titanium, Jeff McIntyre of the Sukhumvit Spitfires, and Rob Taylor of the Aware, all tied with 5 minutes apiece. In our goaltenders, we have Eve in first place of the Aware with a .906 save percentage. In second, Lance also from the Aware with a .882 save percentage. Nang of Hooters Nana is in third place with a .867 percentage. Gabor of the Sports Corner Titanium with a .854. Jason of the Sukhumvit Spitfires with a .789. And Dream from Hooters Nana with a .769. When we come back on January 8th in 2017, our first game at 8:30 has Sukhumvit Spitfires facing off against the Aware. Can Sukhumvit Spitfires avenge their crushing loss of 0-7, or will the Aware remain strong and extend their win record against the Sukhumvit Spitfires? Our second game at 9:30 has Hooters Nana squaring off against Sports Corner Titanium. Will Hooters Nana be able to extend their streak to 3 wins, or will Sports Corner Titanium be able to avenge their only loss of the season and beat Hooters Nana? Looks like we have some good games when we get back from the break. Should be a lot of fun to watch, and I'll see you at the rink. Please rate my show or leave a comment or make suggestions of what you would like me to talk about. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Dom Dumas, on Twitter at Dom Dumas, or on Instagram, Dom_Dumas. Thanks a lot.